Hello, everybody. Glad you're back for the second class. The film that we're going to talk about this morning, A Quiet Passion, was so highly reviewed and so few people saw it. I hope that it got in a few theaters, but the subject matter, when people hear Emily Dickinson, poetry, no, I'm not going to see that movie. And you know how devoted I am to poetry, so that makes my blood boil. This project was in the works for years. Let's start with Terence Davies, who is a British director. He's in his 80s. He has directed some beautiful films and some beautiful autobiographical films about his life growing up in Liverpool, a really abused child, homosexual, and he realized this from quite a young age, and he suffered the worst imaginable things because of his homosexuality. Anyway, he found a release in films. He found his place, and that is wonderful. And anything that you see his name on, just, be looking for him. Watch it, because it's always worth it. He got hold of this project. He, like many, many people, loved Emily Dickinson, loves her poetry. I have to interject here that she's not number one on my list, but when you see this film, you'll start to understand some of this whole cloud that surrounds her. Her poems were not really published when she was alive. He caught the time that she lived in, what life was like for women then, helps us sort of speculate, why did she choose the way she lived? Because she became, whether this is true or not, but it's pretty close to the truth, just about a recluse in Amherst, Massachusetts, and all the dynamics of her family. When you watch this film, it's all unraveled to you, and you have to figure it out. This is subtle, this is not over the top, this is a film where you have to think about it. And now let's bring up Cynthia Nixon. Sex and the City, Cynthia Nixon. Who knew? She had, since leaving that show, which I didn't like, but since leaving that show, she has done such great work on Broadway. She is a consummate actress. She's a New York actress. So since she left the show, she has just been doing unbelievable work. And the performance that we see here, most people are saying this will be Academy Award, and you know how I turn my nose up at that, but this is some performance.
This is my letter to the world that never wrote to me.
You are alone in your rebellion, Miss Dickinson.
Look at that divine creature. What a noble head he has.
Like a Roman emperor.
Nero. Let's hope he's just as wicked.
And you, Miss Dickinson, what of you?
What of me, sir?
Will you not kneel and give yourself to God?
No, sir, I will not kneel.
How dare you conduct yourself in such a manner?
Because I could not stop for death. he kindly stopped for me.
Okay. I think the best way to approach this film is for me to read to you a review which encapsulates what they were trying to do. So, this is from Rolling Stone. Cynthia Nixon is simply magnificent as Emily Dickinson, finding the sharp wit and searching mind of a woman out of step with the codes and formalities of her time. This is what really interested me in this film. This was a woman born into the wrong time and just trying to get through it. She's played by another actress, which I think was a very wise thing to do, another actress as the young Emily. And we see her difficulties already adjusting. She's in a boarding school and already not fitting in. She goes back to Amherst, where her poetry and free thinking is accepted, if not exactly encouraged. And this, I think, is interesting. In a deft scene, Davies, the director, exhibits the Dickinson menage posing for a series of photographs that show the passage of time. I totally missed this when I saw the film, so I'm hoping you'll go back also. I'm going to go back. On the home turf, Emily reveals her sympathy with other Hellraisers, especially somebody called Buffon, her friend, and she's a contrarian whose blunt honesty is a tonic for Emily. Flirtation with the married Reverend Wadsworth, and this is the subject of so much speculations. To whom did she write all these love poems? Does it really matter? They are some beautiful love poems, but the speculation is Reverend Wadsworth. And that goes nowhere. But Emily isolates herself constantly. And we start to see there's a reason why Emily is shut up in this house. She started becoming eccentric. She would greet people from the staircase rather than going to the door to meet them. I mean, she just became very eccentric. I'll pick up the review now. Nixon is a marvel at capturing Dickinson's voice, whether she's suffering fools ungladly or reading her genius poems in the voiceover, which is remarkable. Davies has always brought out the best in actresses. His collaboration with Nixon resonates on the deepest level. Near the end, when ill health reduces Emily to agonizing pain, Nixon connects passionately with the fighting spirit of the poet who died of kidney failure at 55. Now, we're cautioned. Don't be deceived by the delicacy of Emily's 19th century surroundings, and they're beautifully captured by the gifted cinematographer Florian Hofmeister. The portrait that Davies paints is of a woman in full, living not just in her words, but in the agonizing spaces between them. That's why this film is such a remarkable achievement. As Emily Dickinson wrote, "If I feel physically as if the top of my head were taken off, then I know it's poetry." You're supposed to see A Quiet Passion. He calls it a beauty of a movie that touches the heart, but not through pushy sentiment. And I agree with it. It's a sophisticated, very sophisticated movie. I think the best way for you to further pursue this film, because it's a very sophisticated film and there's so many things to look for and to know about it, is to watch the Lincoln Center group discussion, which was very recent, which includes the director Terence Davies, Cynthia Nixon, and others, and carefully listen to that. I think it gives so much insight into the film. I'll be looking forward to your comments after you've gone to the video description and viewed everything you want to, and then definitely add your comments. I'll answer, and we'll explore this film together. And I'll see you next week. Thanks so much. That'll be it for this week. Next week, we're going to be watching The Man Nobody Knew, a documentary again. And thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.